The Pitchsider. Pitchside for every game.
Hello and welcome back to the Pitchsider Podcast. After an unexpected week off, we are back. Sorry about that, but the plan for this week is we will give you a full roundup of what's happened over the last 2 weeks, as there's been a bit that's happened, and then we'll give you a full international roundup, as there has been no football apart from international games this weekend. But yeah, there's been a lot of news that happened, a lot of managers coming and goings, players leaving. Barcelona are back under investigation, get you up to speed fully what's going on there. And we've also had the Champions League draw and Europa draw, so we will give our opinions on that as well. But yes, start off with the news from the last couple of weeks. And let's start off with ex-Arsenal and Real Madrid midfielder Mesut Ozil. So at the age of 34, Mesut Ozil has confirmed his retirement from international and club football. Ozil won 9 trophies during his club career, including four FA Cups, the Spanish La Liga title. He also has 92 caps for Germany, where he was part of the team that won that 2014 World Cup in Brazil. He said in a media statement, "It has been an amazing journey filled with unforgettable moments and emotions. I've had a privilege to be a professional football player for almost 17 years and now feel incredibly thankful for the opportunity. But in recent weeks and months, I've suffered a lot from injuries. It's become more and more clear it's time to give up and leave the big stage of football." So he began his career at Schalke and Werder Bremen before moving to Real Madrid in the summer of 2010, winning the Liga, Copa del Rey and the Spanish Super Cup. He joined Arsenal for a then club record fee of £42.4 million in 2013, winning back-to-back FA Cups in his first 2 seasons before being named the player of the season in his third and winning the cup again in 2017. He was the highest paid player at Arsenal in 2018 after signing a 3.5-year deal of $350k per week. Emery's dismissal, Ozil returned. Before Ozil's dismissal, he lost his place in the Arsenal squad and then left and then finished his career in Turkey. So yeah, it's sad to see him go. Definitely sort of been more on the downcline in his later years of his career, but he's had a successful career. One of Arsenal's best players back in the day, and also at Real Madrid. So sad to see him go. Moving from one player that is retiring to another player that has come back into football, which is Ben Foster, only for 6 weeks. He has joined Wrexham to replace their goalie that has been injured for the last few games of the season. Joining Wrexham, Foster said, "I'm over the moon. I've been at the club an hour this morning. It seems a really nice place. Everyone is down to earth and the manager is top class. It's changed a lot since I was here last year. But it's nice to be back, and it's nice to be back as a player too. It will be interesting to see how my body feels after training today." Foster was a youngster at Stoke when he played for Wrexham on an loan 18 years ago, and was then spotted by Manchester United's Sir Alex Ferguson, where he spent 5 years at Old Trafford after that, although that did include 2 loan spells at Watford and played 23 times for Red Devils, twice helping them to win the League Cup. So yeah, it's good to see him back. Obviously, he's well known for being a cycling goalkeeper, so it'll be interesting to see whether he will bring back what he used to when he was in the Premier League. Definitely a big step down, but it's also a big appointment for Wrexham, as he comes with a lot of experience. Hasn't played football for just over a season, but he will definitely be helping them push for that promotion spot, which they desperately want, to League Two. So if we go back to some European football quickly, we will talk about Barcelona. So following on from the Barcelona courts looking at some of Barcelona's accounting history. It's now been decided by UEFA to appoint ethics and disciplinary inspectors to look over the payments allegedly made for favourable refereeing decisions, as we mentioned the other week. Barcelona, who deny any wrongdoing, paid €8.7 million to referees between 2001 and 2018. UEFA have stated that the ethics and disciplinary investigators have been appointed to conduct an investigation regarding the potential violation of UEFA's legal framework by Barcelona in connection with the so-called Casa Negrada. So it's interesting to see how this will progress. Obviously, Barcelona deny any wrongdoing, and if it is proven, it's definitely going to hold some legal weight, whether Barcelona will get fined, whether they will get deducted points, whether they will lose certain trophies they've won. So this is a big talking point within Barcelona, and worrying times if you are a Barcelona fan. So we'll keep you up to date if we hear any more about this new story as it develops. But yeah, we're now waiting for the report from these UEFA investigators. Sticking with Europe, Bayern Munich have sacked manager Julian Nagelsmann and have appointed former Chelsea manager Thomas Tuchel. So Bayern Munich have sacked the manager after less than 2 years in charge and have appointed Thomas Tuchel as his replacement until 2025. German side have won the last 10 Bundesliga titles and sit second in the table, 1 point behind leaders Borussia Dortmund. They beat City, PSG to reach quarterfinals, when they will face Man City. We'll get on to that later. Thomas Tuchel was sacked back in September of last year. He replaces Nagelsmann on a contract until the 30th of June 2025, and he will take training for the first time on Monday, the day this is released. Bayern Munich chief said when they signed Julian in the summer of 2021, we were convinced that he would work on a long-time basis, and that was the goal for us to end up right. And that was the goal of all of us right up to the end. But now we have come to the conclusion that the quality of our squad, despite the Bundesliga title last year, has come for far less and less often. After the World Cup, we have played less successfully and less attractively, big fluctuations in their performance, and have cast doubt over our goal-scoring records since. But yeah, it looks like Bayern Munich want to go in a different direction. Whether this will have a upset on the league, whether it will have a sort of new manager bounce for Bayern Munich, but their goal scoring seems to be one of an areas that they've lacked this season. But that is probably because they've got rid of a massive goal scorer in someone like Lewandowski, after scoring 30 goals a season there. And they've brought in Sadio Mane, who's more of a winger rather than an out-and-out striker. And they don't have one of Europe's top strikers anymore, so it's going to definitely hinder their goal scoring. But their style of football sort of will now change with Tuchel. Tuchel favours back five, and whether their stance on Cancelo will change. Definitely be interesting and one to watch. And it's definitely worth watching in the Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga now. One sticking with managers, Conte is in very, very hot water at Spurs. So this is an interesting one because it's been over a week since Conte very, very harshly criticised Tottenham. He criticised the players, he criticised the mentality, he criticised the squad, he criticised the ownership, he just criticised everything in a press conference, which was very sort of more out of the blue. He spent obviously a long time in Italy after recovering from his operation he had, and during this international break, he has gone back to Italy, but he with his assistant taking charge. But yeah, most clubs, if he would have said that, would have sacked him. His contract seems to be up at the end of the season. He's stated on the record many times that he will review his contract at the end, but it's widely known that he's likely to leave and go back to Italy. A lot of pundits and a lot of people were expecting him to be sacked, but week on, he's still there. Hasn't reported back. He seems to be on holiday in Italy. There's been a number of managers that have been rumoured to take his situation. It looks like the Inter manager basis would probably most likely be Ryan Mason if he was sacked. And former Spurs boss Harry Redknapp said he would love to work with him if he does get the job. But the biggest manager that has been linked is Pochettino. Obviously, he's been most successful with Spurs since Mourinho, getting to that Champions League, but seems no one can win a trophy there. Whether Tottenham are going to just let him see out his contract so they don't have to pay any compensation, or whether they want to sack him. But I think for what he said, a lot of it is true. If you watch the way they play, it definitely is. But it could be that a lot of the senior players don't want to play for him anymore. It's getting very toxic there. And yeah, it seems to be not a very nice situation for Tottenham. And Tottenham definitely need to make a decision quickly whether they are going to stick with him or not, because a lot of unrest at a club will hinder their chances in football games, and definitely being in the top four battle, they need to be all focused on that, with a number of teams sniffing for that spot. But yeah, if we hear any more, we will definitely keep you up to date. Most places we keep you up to date is the Instagram and Twitter. So please go and give us a follow on there. Just sticking with managers still, Palace have sacked Patrick Vieira after a very unsuccessful time at Palace. This season it's not been as successful as Palace would have wanted. And yeah, they have appointed Roy Hodgson, who has also come out of retirement this week. So a lot of players coming out of retirement. So yeah, it's a bit of an interesting appointment from Palace. It seems to be they're trying to avoid relegation from the Premier League. They currently sit 12th, but they are just 3 points above the relegation, which shows how tight it is without winning in 2023. So they brought Roy Hodgson back. He did have a successful time at the club. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see how they deal. He's only signed to the end of the season, so they still need a long-term manager. Something needs to change at the club, but bringing Roy Hodgson back, I don't know whether it was the right move, but it's done now, so we'll definitely see how this goes. And his first game will be in charge next weekend when football returns. Let's finally move on to some Champions League football. We had the conclusion of the round of 16, and we've also had the draws, so let's quickly go through the draws. Many people would have seen this. So we have Real Madrid versus Chelsea. They last faced each other when Chelsea won the Champions League in 2021, which we also on the same side have Manchester City versus Bayern Munich. So two interesting games, favourites after knocking Liverpool out. But Chelsea have a very good record against Real Madrid in their last 5 games, winning 4 of them. Manchester City, they are now playing Bayern Munich. They are to... this is going to be one of the most interesting ones, because whoever wins this will play against Real Madrid or Chelsea in the semi-finals. So this is the side where most of the favourites to win this competition are. So it'd be interesting to see who will come out on top. But my predictions are going to be Chelsea and Bayern Munich, and then it'll be a Chelsea-Bayern Munich semi-final. Being a Chelsea fan, I would like it to be Chelsea, but I think maybe Bayern Munich would do this. They've got a bit more quality than Chelsea, but it's a knockout game, so anything can happen. And this also would see Thomas Tuchel's first game back at the Bridge as the Bayern Munich manager since leaving Chelsea. On the other side, we have Inter Milan versus Benfica. You would put your money on Inter Milan to win this. They just have a bit more best quality than Benfica, but I wouldn't rule Benfica out of this cup tie. The other game we've got is AC Milan versus Napoli. Napoli are favourites to win this one. Currently topping the Serie A table, all Italian. This would then lead to an all Italian semi-final with likely Napoli versus Milan. Napoli could knock out both Milan clubs, but Napoli are strong favourites to win this competition. Definitely to get to the final, so it'd be interesting to see how this rules out. But all routes lead to a final of Istanbul. Probably going to be a Napoli Bayern Munich final, is my prediction. Moving to Europa League, after Arsenal got knocked out, being one of the favourites, Manchester United progress. They now face Seville. If anyone remembers, a few years ago, Manchester United played Seville and they lost in the final. So it'll be interesting to see how the replay of this goes. Juventus will play Sporting Lisbon. Bayer Leverkusen play Union St. Galapagos after they beat Union. And Feyenoord play Roma. This leads to semi-final of Juventus or Sporting Lisbon versus Manchester United or Seville. So this could be a Juventus-Manchester United semi-final, which will be one of the two favourites to win. And then we've got Feyenoord or Roma versus Bayer Leverkusen or Union St. Galapagos. So I reckon this probably will be Roma versus Union. In the Europa Conference Leagues, we've got Lens Palazzo versus Fiorentina. We've got Ghent versus West Ham. And we've got AZ Alkmaar versus Anderlecht and Basel versus Nice. In the semi-finals, that leaves Lazio or Fiorentina, most likely them, to play Basel or Nice. So this probably will be a Nice-Fiorentina semi-final. And then we've got Ghent versus West Ham, so you would like West Ham. And then we've probably got an Anderlecht to face them. So it's going to be an interesting couple of rounds in these different competitions. But yeah, definitely a lot of football to be played. A lot of teams to still go out. And hopefully we can have an upset here or there. So now moving on to some international football. We'll go over the England games in a bit more detail and a couple of the other games. But yeah, won't hang around too much on this. Starting off with England, Harry Kane now is England's all-time top goal scorer. After drawing level with Rooney, he converted a penalty against Italy, which then moved him one. So he is now the England's record goal scorer. And yeah, definitely go and watch the highlights. Go and look at some of his goals. He still got a few years left in him for England, so he's likely to take that role further on. Doesn't really seem to be anyone in this sort of generation that will match that. So it'd be interesting to see who is going to be the next Wayne Rooney or Harry Kane. But yeah, well done to him. Definitely a landmark. Makes him world-class striker. Only thing he needs to do now is win a couple of trophies. Probably more likely with England rather than Tottenham. But yeah, whether he will leave or not, it's definitely something to follow and see in the summer. Going to be a big summer for Harry Kane. But yeah, as mentioned, England did beat Italy 2-1 with Declan Rice and Harry Kane scoring for England. Pretty even game, end to end. wasn't the most thrilling game, but England got the 3 points, got the job done. Start off their qualifying to England to 3-0. In the game that was played today, as of recording, was England-Ukraine. This ended 2-0 to Ukraine, with Kane and Saka both finding the net. Saka getting an assist and a goal this game, so showing that he's very, very confident in England. He's Gareth Southgate's side built on the foundation of their first win against Italy, and it was the first win against Italy since 1986. With the efficient performance, England continued to build momentum. Harry Kane made it 55 goals when he bundled into Saka's cross at the far post. Leicester's James Maddison made a good impression on his first England start, while Ivan Toney won his first cap as late substitution. Captain Harry Kane making way there. And there was no danger from a Ukrainian comeback. This leaves England in a good situation, top of the group, 6 points. In the England's group, we have left to play North Macedonia and Malta. So you would be England would be favourites to go through with Italy, but Italy did get a draw in this group. Just going over the groups quickly. So you've got Group A, which is Spain and Scotland, both top of the group. You've also then got Georgia and Norway and Cyprus. So Group B, you've got France, Greece, Republic of Ireland, Gibraltar and Netherlands. Group D, you've got Turkey, Wales, Croatia, Lithuania and Armenia. Group E, you've got Czech, Faroe Islands, Moldova, Albania and Poland. Group F, you've got Austria, Belgium, Estonia, Azerbaijan and Sweden. Group F, you've got Serbia, Montenegro, Hungary, Lithuania and Bulgaria. Group H, you've got Slovenia, Northern Ireland, Kazakhstan, Denmark, Finland and San Marino. Group I, you've got Switzerland, Roma, Kazakhstan, Iran, Algeria and Belarus. And Group J, you have got Portugal, Bosnia, Iceland, Slovenia, Liechtenstein and Luxembourg. So definitely a couple of interesting groups here. Some of the groups obviously have 6 teams. Some only have 5. England's one only has 5, so it's going to be interesting. Probably most likely to see a lot of same teams in it. Obviously England, Italy, Poland, a lot of Spain, Portugal, all of these teams are all going to be in it. So it's going to be interesting. This is for the 2024, so next year's Euros. So hopefully England can be in a good form to win this one. But Phil Foden is set to miss Liverpool game after being injured in England's training. He is going to miss the game after having his appendix removed, which means he missed the game. He was ruled out from England's win in Wembley. The midfielder had surgery in London and will now face a spell to recover, but he is now in his return to Manchester for his rehabilitation. So that wraps up the podcast for this week. A bit shorter due to the international break and there not being much football going on, but there's been a lot of news. Hopefully it's got you all up to date. Sorry again for missing last week's podcast. We'll be back. And definitely a lot more to come from the Pitchsider, so please follow us on Instagrams to be kept up to date with everything. Thank you for listening. Hope you have good weeks and goodbye.
For all the latest news, transfers and football articles, check out thepitchsider.com. It's the place to be. Contact us on our socials. Instagram and Twitter is @thepitchsider, or via email is thepitchsider@hotmail.com.